So let's begin this session just by allowing our bodies and minds to calm themselves naturally. So just gently checking your spine so it's gently straight, not too much curved one way or the other, as if there was a pile of coins gently stacked on top of each other. If you feel comfortable to do so, just allow your eyes to gently close or simply drop your gaze in front of you. Take a few moments now just to return your breathing to its natural state. Just bring your mind to focus on one physical aspect of your breathing. Might be the movement of your belly, your chest, or even the movement of breath through your nostrils. Just allow your mind to settle there and your body to breathe itself naturally, as it does every night when you're asleep. As you allow your body and mind to calm themselves naturally, refresh your motivation for being here today. Whatever motivation we may have brought with us to this retreat, expand it out to include all sentient beings. The mind of enlightenment, the Bodhi mind, the determination to accomplish the highest fully accomplished enlightenment in order to place all sentient beings in that very state. Freeing yourself from suffering, and then freeing all other sentient beings from suffering. Before we start the session proper today, we'll do a short meditation on the beginninglessness of the mind. Mind is not made out of matter like the body. It is the continuity of clarity and knowing, which arises out of its previous moment and is dependent on its object of knowledge. The mind has always been clear and knowing, and always will be. At the moment, our knowing is limited, but it can become limitless. Check the continuity of your mind by following it back in time. As we are here now, think back to a few minutes ago when we started this session. Before that, what were you doing before that? Where were you? What were you thinking? How were you feeling? Trace back to earlier in the day, to the morning, to the night before, day by day, moment by moment, event by event. Trace your mind back. Having these memories themselves is in itself proof of the continuity of mind. As you follow the natural flow of your memories back in time, you will come across both joyful and miserable experiences. Just recognize them. Allow them to be felt as you felt at the time. Then keep carrying back in time without indulging in any one of your recollections. Back to last year, the year before, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Step by step, as far back as you can remember. When your memory starts to fade, use your imagination and reconstruct how it might have been like being an infant, a fetus in the mother's womb, as well as at the time of conception. What happened then? The sperm and the egg of the mother and father met and united. And that was the start of the body. What about the mind? The mind had a continuity before it joined with this current body. Previous lives that as children we might have remembered glimpses of. And those memories have faded, just as our memories of being children have faded as we've grown older. The fading of the memories, or the lack of the ability to remember past lives, doesn't negate these past moments of mind. The mere fact that mind is an impermanent phenomenon and thus must be produced from a cause of a similar nature. Matter cannot produce mind. When you bring back your memory of the mind to the point of birth, there are only three choices from where the mind could have arisen. Either the mind comes from the parents' minds, which is not possible, since one cannot receive a piece of someone else's mind, or it pops into existence without a cause, which is also not possible. Since as impermanent phenomena, it has to have a previous cause. Therefore, mind arises out of its own previous continuity in accordance with the law of cause and effect. With this understanding of the continuity of mind, you approach this session knowing that even after these bodies fade, the mind will continue. To make the best possible situation for our future minds and future bodies, we approach this session to create the causes of another perfect human rebirth. So that step by step, little by little, we can eliminate suffering. And take ourselves and all sentient beings to happiness and bliss, a perfect and complete enlightenment. Moving to page 24 of the booklet, a brief sadhana of the Compassion Buddha, Arya Chenrezig. As I lead the visualization, do your best to visualize as clear as you can all the aspects of Arya Chenrezig. With firm concentration, visualize in the space in front of you the divine form of the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, Arya Chendraseek, who is the embodiment of the infinite Buddha's compassionate wisdom. He stands on a lotus and moon seat. His body is the nature of white light, youthful looking and decorated with magnificent jewel ornaments. He has 11 faces. His central face is white, the right green, the left red. Above those, his central face is green, the left white, and the right red. Above those, the central face is red, the left green, and the right white. Above those is a dark blue face in ruffle aspect, with orange hair standing erect. On the very top is a red-colored Amitabha Buddha in peaceful and smiling aspect. Two hands are clasped together at his heart, holding the wish-fulfilling gem. On his right, the next hand is the mudra of giving realizations. The next bears a Dharma chakra, turning the wheel of Dharma. And the uppermost bears a mala, reminding you to recite the mantra. On his left, the next hand bears a vase containing the nectar of his divine compassionate wisdom. The next holds a bow and arrow, symbolizing defeat of the four Mara. And the uppermost bears a white lotus, the purest of flowers, although born out of mud. The other 992 hands are also in the mudra of giving highest realizations. The skin of an antelope is draped over his left shoulder, symbolizing that hatred is overcome completely by peaceful, compassionate wisdom. Refuge and bodhicitta together in English. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. Due to the merits of giving and so forth, may I achieve Buddhahood in order to benefit migrating beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. Due to the merits of giving and so forth, may I achieve Buddhahood in order to benefit migrating beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. Due to the merits of giving and so forth, may I achieve Buddhahood in order to benefit migrating beings. With a thought desiring to liberate migrating beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach the essence of enlightenment. With perseverance for the welfare of sentient beings due to wisdom with mercy, I take a place in the presence of the Buddhas and generate the mind of complete enlightenment. With a thought desiring to liberate migrating beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach the essence of enlightenment. With perseverance for the welfare of sentient beings due to wisdom with mercy, I take a place in the presence of Buddhas and generate the mind of complete enlightenment. With a thought desiring to liberate migrating beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach the essence of enlightenment. With perseverance for the welfare of sentient beings due to wisdom with mercy, I take a place in the presence of the Buddhas and generate the mind of complete enlightenment. We'll recite the four immeasurables, pausing after each line to contemplate how your life and the world will be could we achieve this. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. Think how different your life would be if not only you had happiness and its causes, but every single sentient being you met every day had happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Think of the suffering you see in the world, in yourselves and all those around you. Imagine a world where you didn't have any suffering, neither any other sentient being. Every sentient being everywhere in all the 10 directions and 6 realms was free of their suffering. How different the world would be then. May all sentient beings not be separated from the happiness that's without suffering. Imagine all sentient beings, never reborn, in the lower realms, the suffering realms, always being happy, having happy migrations. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and hatred for those held close and distant. Imagine if you yourself didn't have attachment, weren't negatively attached, didn't have aversion or ill will towards any sentient being. Imagine if all other sentient beings had that equanimity, free of attachment and hatred. How different the world would be then. Generate in your heart that strong wish for all sentient beings to have happiness and its causes, to be free from the suffering and its causes of suffering, to never be separated from happiness that is without suffering, and to abide in equanimity, free of attachment and hatred for those held close and distant. On top of page 25, the 7-limb offering. I prostrate to the holy body of the Supreme Arya, the great compassionate one, and make each and every offering, those actually arranged and those mentally transformed. I confess all negativities and transgressions collected since beginning of this time, and rejoice in the virtue of ordinary and holy beings and Aryas. Please remain supremely until the cyclic existence is emptied, and turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of my greaters. I dedicate the merits of myself and others to the great enlightenment. Oza ji ki jo xing me do tram ri ra bling ji ni de gen pa di Sangye Jingdu Mikte Uwa Idro Kunamdag Jingla Chebashu. The objects with which my greed, hatred, and confusion grow, friends, enemies, strangers, body and possessions, I offer without hesitation. Graciously accept them and bless me to be freed from the 3 poisons upon their occurrence. Please bless me that the lives of the glorious gurus be long. Let there be happiness and comfort everywhere equaling space. That myself and others without exception accumulate the collections of merit and wisdom, purify the obscurations, and quickly achieve Buddhahood. Whatever kind of life I experience, happy or suffering, healthy or unhealthy, gain or loss, rich or poor, living or even dying, even rebirth in a hell realm. May all these experiences and every action I do from now on be of most benefit for all sentient beings, poising them to achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible. May whatever happens in my life be most beneficial for all sentient beings. Even if I receive criticism from people, may be most beneficial for sentient beings. Even if I receive praise from others, may be most beneficial for sentient beings. If I am healthy, or even if I have a sickness such as cancer, may be most beneficial for all sentient beings. May I, the members of my family, and all living beings be guided by you, Compassion Buddha, in all our lifetimes. A glance meditation on all the important points of the Lam Rim by Vajrayana Losang Jinpa. Nature that embodies all the Buddhas, source of all the pure transmission and realization Dharma, principle amongst the Arya Sangha, I take refuge in the magnificent pure gurus. Please bless my mind to become Dharma, that Dharma to become the path, and that path to be free of all hindrances. Until I reach enlightenment, may I, just like the Bodhisattvas Shunu no Sang and Taktongu, practice pure devotion to my Guru in thought and action. See all the actions of my Guru as excellent, and fulfill whatever he advises. Please bless me with the potential to accomplish this. Knowing that this highly meaningful, perfect human rebirth is difficult to obtain and easily lost. Realizing the profundity of cause and effect and the unbearable sufferings of the lower realms, from my heart, I take refuge in the three precious sublime ones, abandon negativity, and practice virtue in accordance with the Dharma. Please bless me with the potential to accomplish this. In dependence on this, I am able to attain only the higher rebirth of humans and gods. Not having abandoned affliction, I have to experience uninterrupted, limitless cyclic existence. By contemplating well how cyclic existence works, may I train day and night in the principal path of the three precious higher trainings, the means of attaining liberation. Please bless me with the potential to always train like this. In dependence on this, I am able to attain only self-liberation, as there is not one sentient being in all six realms who has not been my mother and father. I will turn away from this lower happiness and generate the wish to fulfill their ultimate purposes. By contemplating the path of equalizing and exchanging self for others, I will generate the precious bodhicitta and engage in the bodhisattva's actions of the six perfections. Please bless me with the potential to train in this way. Having trained like this in the common path, I myself will not have aversion to experiencing the sufferings of psychic existence for a long time. But by the force of extraordinary unbearable compassion for sentient beings, may I enter the quick path of the Vajrayana. By observing purely my vows and pledges, even the cost of my life, may I quickly attain the unified state of Vajradhara in one brief lifetime of this degenerate age. Please bless me with the potential to attain this. The visualization for the mantra recitation. On the moon disk at Arya Chenrezig's heart is a concentration being, the symbol free, surrounded by garlands of the mantra to be recited. Om Mani Padme Hum. White in color, standing clockwise. Light rays radiate from them, filling all the inside of one's body and purifying all negativities and obscurations. Light rays radiate outwards, from which an limitless assembly of deities of the Great Compassionate One are emitted, purifying the negativities and obscurations of all sentient beings and setting them in a state of Arya Chenrezig. These then collect back and dissolve into the free at the heart of Arya Chenrezig. We recite the mantra aloud 21 times and then continuing on silently to yourselves. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Continuing to recite the mantra. See the white light radiating from the three at the heart of Arya Chenrezig visualized in front of you, filling you and all the other people in this Gompa, completely purifying all negativities and obscurations, placing them in their state of Arya Chenrezig. Continuing to recite the mantra. Bring to mind all those sentient beings we saw earlier in the day, those outside in the cafe, those sentient beings born as animals we saw walking around or flying or hopping or jumping, all those sentient beings we can hear outside the Gompa, the white light from the three at Harya Chenrezig's heart, pouring forth into those sentient beings, purifying all their negativities and obscurations, placing the state of Arya Chenrezig, ensuring they never have another lower realm rebirth. continuing to recite the mantra. Think back that previous moment of mind, previous moment of mind, previous moment of mind to yesterday. All those sentient beings you encountered yesterday. All those sentient beings who are suffering. You might have walked past them, driven past them, spent time with them, worked with them. Bring to mind those specific sentient beings you know who you passed. The white light streaming forth from the free RH energetic's heart into those people wherever they are now, purifying all their negative karmas and obscurations, placing the state of RH energy. Continuing to recite the mantra, take your mind further back, earlier this month, this year. Think of all those people you've met, all those people close to you, any individual you can think of you have met or had any interaction with, all those sentient beings who are suffering. The white light, Maya Generosing's heart, pouring forth from the three, pouring into each and every one of those sentient beings. Imagine each of those sentient beings, one by one, receiving that purification of all their negativities and obscurations, being freed from their negativities, abiding in great bliss. Rejoice in them being freed from all their sufferings. Continue to recite the mantra. Think back, year by year, stage of life by stage of life. High school, primary school, childhood. Each stage of life is often marked by the individuals we meet along the way. Some bring us joy, some bring us suffering. Be assured there are many, many we don't see and think of and can't remember around us at the time. White light emanating from the triad heart of RH Energy. Each of those stages of life, each of those people in our past, in this life, purifying all their negativities and obscurations, placing them in a state of happiness, free from all their suffering forever. Finally, thinking back to the father and mother of this life, from whom you received this body, regardless of what happened after that point in time you were born. You wouldn't have been born had it not been for the father and mother of this life. Thinking back, the continuity of mind, the beginninglessness of mind, before this life, before this mind entered into this body, countless past lives. There were mothers and fathers in each of those lives. Beginninglessly, all those kind of mother sentient beings are suffering. Expand your awareness to all those kind of mother sentient beings from all the past lives who are existing still to this day in different incarnations. Expand the streams of that white light from RH Energy's heart to all sentient beings, all the 6 realms and 10 directions. Every sentient being without exception is filled with that perfect white light, purified all negative obscurations and negativities, placed in the state of RH Energy. And the light rays returning back to the triad RH Energy, having done their job, purifying all sentient beings. What about me? Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. The dedication verses on page 28. Due to all the past, present, and future merits collected by me and the merits of the 3 times collected by others, from now on, may whatever actions I do with my body, speech, and mind, and whatever life I experience, be most useful for all other sentient beings. Whether I am up or down, happy or unhappy, healthy or unhealthy, whether I have cancer or don't have cancer, whether I have peace in my life or problems, such as relationship problems and so forth, whether I am rich or poor, whether I experience gain or loss, whether I receive praise or criticism from others, whether I'm living or dying, even born in hell realms. May all these actions and my life experiences from now on be of most benefit for other sentient beings, causing all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible. Due to the merits of the 3 times collected by me, the merits of the 3 times collected by others, from now on in all my future lives, may I be able to offer extensive benefit, as limitless as the sky, to all the sentient beings by having the same qualities within me as the compassion Buddha and Lama Tsongkhapa. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. Due to these merits, may I quickly become the great compassionate one and place all migrating beings without exception in that very state. Just the brave Manjushri and Samattabhata Chura realize things as they are. I also dedicate all these merits in the best way, so may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised the best by the victorious ones of the 3 times, so might perform the noble bodhisattva's deeds. Through all these merits, may all the father and mother sentient beings have all happiness. May all the lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are bodhisattvas, may their prayers be accomplished immediately. May I cause this all by myself alone. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until the samsara ends. May the source of benefit and goodness, the doctrine of spread and expand. May the beings upholding the doctrine have excellent health. May the source of happiness and well-being for all embodied beings, the doctrine of the Buddha, always increase. And that's the end of this session. Something that's good to remember is when we're going about our everyday lives, if you have a spare moment, and it's easy for you to do, it's quite okay to say the Mani mantra to yourself. To sing it as you go for a walk down to the Garden of Enlightenment or other places. Just see how your heart changes, your mind changes as you say the mantra. It doesn't have to be fast, it can be slow, whatever feels most appropriate for you. And reinforce that compassionate feeling in your heart. It doesn't have to be sitting on a mat to do that. So our next session is at 6:30 and supper is at 5:30. So we'll see you then. Be good.